Good morning. How are you all this morning? We are so glad that you all were able to make it this morning for our last series, Real Talks and Friendship Speaker Series for the school year. And we want to go ahead and introduce you to, before we go ahead and introduce you to our last speaker of the year. My name is Simone Green. I'm the Vincent Program Manager here at Friendship Public Charter School. And we are so excited that we are able to continue this series throughout the school year, and hope that you all have taken all that you have received since the very beginning. Give yourselves a hand. Our speaker today is Mr. Jeff Johnson. He is an award-winning journalist, communication specialist, and thought leader. Currently, Mr. Johnson is a partner. Is a partner and chief of strategy for the Baltimore-based branding firm Balloon Communication. In this role, he provides strategic insight and messaging consulting to clients in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. I know Mr. Johnson for all the advocacy work and community activist work here in the DMV area, specifically in the Baltimore region. As you know, that was what things that were going on in the Baltimore area with the protests and demonstrations that we've known about last week. He was integrally involved in that, and he has put a positive role, he has been a positive role model for the youth there in Baltimore, so give him a hand. And we're going to look forward to hearing from him a little bit more about that and how, a way that you all will can relate to that and how you all can get involved in that from the long term. Mr. Johnson works with clients to develop strategies, solutions, and content that merge effective tradition with innovative technology for the purpose of creative, positive, transformative change and market impact. He is a founder and CEO of Elite Voice Speakers, and which is a premier bureau he founded with journalist Mark Lamont Hill. He recently sat with President Barack Obama for BET News, and is currently working with the networks as co-chair for the BET's HIS initiative, designed to address men, health, image, and service. He has formerly served as a National Director of Youth for the Youth and College Division for the NAACP, and held an appointment for Russell Simmons, Vice President of his Hip Hop Summit Action Network. He currently provides regular content on theroot.com and is nationally syndicated, Ricky Smiley Morning Show. Most recently, Jeff worked with Steve Harvey on his New York Times bestseller, Act Like a Success, Think Like a Success. Jeff has committed much of his personal and professional life to the development of young people and continues to support youth leadership all over the country. He serves on several boards on the Morehouse Research Institute, Cleveland State University of Urban Affairs, and Historic Lincoln Theater in Columbus, Ohio. He is an honored husband of Jacqueline and a proud father of Miles, Madison, and Malcolm. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jeff Johnson.
What's up, y'all? Just working. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Can y'all hear me? 1, 1, 1. All right, so I'm using this, not this. All right. How y'all doing? One more time. How are y'all? Good. So I want us to be able to have a discussion as opposed to me just lecturing at you all. How many of you all want to get paid? How many of you all know how you want to do it? My man right here in the bow tie, stand up. What's your name?
Jamal.
Jamal. How do you want to get paid?
I want to get paid through, no, it's not. I want to get paid through going to college and taking on a career. That's how I want to get paid.
What career?
As a police officer.
As a police officer?
No, as a politician.
As a politician?
Yeah.
So you won't make no money?
No, I want to make money.
Politicians don't make no money. Alright, so no, I appreciate that. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but I want y'all to be, you said you want to get paid.
Yeah,
now, if you want to serve, then by all means, but you don't get rich becoming a politician. But have a seat for me. Give Jamal a round of applause, y'all. Somebody else know how they want to get paid. My man over here has his hand up. Stand up for me. What's your name? All right, Dwayne.
I want to be a chemical and nuclear engineer. What?
A who?
Chemical and nuclear engineer.
A chemical and nuclear engineer. Why?
Oh, I like math. I like helping people. I like helping the world.
Fantastic. Thank you. Give him a round of applause. So let me say this to you all really quickly, because my bio is different. So I was the National Youth Director for the NAACP, which meant I was responsible for leading and training about 150,000 young people all over the country to do political engagement. I left the NAACP and worked with BET for 7 years as doing political commentary on Rap City. I had my own show called The Truth. I did political news kind of content for BET. I was with MSNBC for 2 years, and all that time I've run my own company. So I've owned 2 to 3 of my own companies, primarily in politics and communications, and do everything from advising politicians to working with folks like Steve Harvey, to working with other celebrities on some of their nonprofit initiatives, to helping people figure out how to engage all over the world. And so what I realize as I look at young people like you all is that a lot of times we're talking to you all about how do you get a career, but not necessarily how do you ensure that your future connects your talent, your gifts, your career, and money. And so I think Jamal talked about wanting to be a politician. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be a politician. I think we need better politicians, and I think we need young people like Jamal who would be willing to run for city council in a city like DC that needs young leadership, that needs innovative leadership, that needs the kind of leadership that can change things. But the problem for us a lot of times is we constantly become consumers that are trained to work for somebody else versus taking our skills, gifts, and abilities and figuring out how to make money for ourselves, how to use resources to be able to create opportunities for ourselves and create our own job instead of always working for somebody else. How many of y'all got a smartphone? That is a smartphone. How many of y'all got smartphone? How many of your phones can do more than just text and call? All right. How many of you all want to go to college? All right. How many of you all have already gotten enough scholarship money to go and pay for all 4 years? Somebody has scholarship money for all 4 years.
Never.
2 brothers in the back. Anybody else have scholarship money for all 4 years? Okay, so let me ask you this. How many of you all don't have any scholarship money yet? Okay, these are not rhetorical questions. I'm actually looking for you to answer. How many of you all have any scholarship money? All right. How many of you all have enough scholarship money? Okay, so here's the challenge. The challenge that I have is, how many of you all have been online this week? Either on Twitter, on Instagram, on Pinterest, on Vine, on YouTube, on something. All right. The challenge that I have is we got a whole lot of dumb kids with smartphones. And so you can update your account 35 times a day, but you can't use that phone for the information you need to be able to get you where you want to go. And so you can like it, you can not like it, but you got people that are slaves to technology instead of owning it. So yesterday I spent half the day with Google, and Google is one of the owners of YouTube. YouTube at this point is helping to fund people to be able to create content. So you got YouTube celebrities that have larger followers. There's a sister right now who's got more YouTube followers than every Google channel created. She's got more followers on YouTube than the band Coldplay. She's got more followers on YouTube than half of the people that got Billboard Music Awards this week. And you wouldn't know her name in many cases if you don't follow those that are involved in makeup artistry. But what that means is you don't have to wait for somebody to tell you to do it. You don't have to be given a degree to be able to do it. Somebody doesn't have to say, come on with BET or MTV or Bravo or VH1 and let me give you a deal. All you have to do is, one, know what your gift is, know how to create content, know how to deliver that content, and then be able to provide it to people who want it. And whether it's technology from a talent side, where you got a YouTube channel and you're talking to people, or whether you're using one of these online courses to learn how to code, and you're creating apps for people or websites for people, and creating your own business before you ever graduate from high school. How many, I saw somebody get it, so how many of y'all know how to code? Fantastic. How many of you all know that when you know how to code, you can always make money? Almost everything that we're doing in today's society is based on coding. And so the phone that you use, the websites you go to, the apps that you go to, the stuff that you download is all based on code. But so often in our community, all we want to do is be the consumers of these products instead of the creators of these products. So what I want you all to be conscious of is, number one, most of you, especially the generation that you come from who are going to be successful because you create your job, not because somebody gives you one. Because you create an opportunity and not because you filled out an application for one. And the people who work hard normally are preparing to work for the people who work smart. How many of y'all understand that? If you work hard, normally you are preparing yourself to work for the people who work smart. Working hard is not enough. You got to work smart enough to know, where do I need to put my energy? Where do I need to put my time? Who do I need to hang out with? What are the resources that are available to me? How do I use those resources to go to the next level? What are the schools that don't just sound good on my resume, but the schools that will actually prepare me to do what I want to do? Because you got folks right now that graduated from Harvard and are working at the mall. Because even though they went to one of the most prestigious schools in the country, they didn't have a plan that directly connected their degree to how they can actually create money. On the flip side, there are people that didn't go to college at all. And whether they learned how to code, or whether they got certified in something, or whether they learned a trade skill, are running businesses that are making multi-million dollars because they understood, how do I take this skill, create a strategy, connect it to a global marketplace, and learn how to make money. I met a kid from Newark in Dubai 2 months ago. And this kid from Newark is in Dubai doing entertainment in Dubai. And so all he's doing is creating concerts and events for folks in Dubai, taking talent from the United States and bringing it to Dubai, and is killing it. I mean, making millions on top of millions on top of millions, not just through the events themselves, but through the content he creates, through downloads that people pay for. And he started doing this in high school because one of his boys had graduated, moved to Dubai with his parents, started doing some work. He was like, man, are they doing concerts there? He said, I have a contact that can help get artists. Went to Dubai with his friend to stay, and then started this business. And so there are all kinds of opportunities that are out there for you all if you can create a vision that says, one, I don't have to wait till I graduate from high school. I don't have to wait until I get a degree from college. I don't have to wait for somebody else to tell me to be able to do it. All I have to do is know what my gift is, know what the opportunity is, begin to create space, master what it is that you want to do, move yourself in a position to learn from people who are already doing it, copy what people are doing, who are making it work, and learn from the people who didn't make it work, and then create your own space. Because I'll be clear with y'all, I don't care if y'all like what I have to say. Like, not even a little bit. I know that there are about 10% of y'all that are serious about being able to go to the next level and about taking opportunities that other people won't take advantage of and go to the next level to create them. Almost every single person from our community that I've seen be successful was successful because they realized, I got to do more than what everybody else is doing. I got to move in ways that other people aren't moving. I have to create relationships with people that other people won't create relationships with. And I got to work when other people are chilling. And if you're willing to do that, then I'm telling you, that there are opportunities that will open themselves to you in ways that they will not for other people. And so for the last 3 months, I've been in 4 continents. And in those 4 continents, I've worked with different kind of clients. So in Dubai, I've worked with a pharmaceutical company that is trying to just figure out how they do diversity in the Middle East. And so in the Middle East, you're not necessarily dealing with Black, white, Asian, Latino. But in the Middle East, you're dealing with folks from different countries that speak over 10 to 15 different languages, that have different religions and different cultures, and they're all figuring out how do they build this business where they're going into the Emirates and into Morocco and into Iraq and into Iran and into Pakistan and into other parts of the Middle East to be able to make this company work. But I leave there and I'm able to fly back here and work with Steve Harvey to manage his Twitter accounts, his Facebook engagement, how we're using all of what he's doing on the morning show, to the television show, to Family Feud, to a dating site that he has, to the book, to the movies, to a production company that he's getting ready to create, to be able to tell his fans where he is, what he's doing, how he's doing it, and then use that to be able to create market share. Steve Harvey's got an amazing story, not just because of the work that he's doing, but every single thing he's attached himself to, he's increased his numbers. And so how many of y'all watch or even YouTube or even seen a clip of Family Feud? Right? So when Steve Harvey first came on Family Feud, the average viewership was 1.5 million viewers. Now Steve Harvey gets 8 million viewers almost every time Family Feud comes on, which means it's one of the most watched TV shows every day of the week anywhere in the United States of America. Now the beauty of that, and why I bring Steve up, is because so many people try to change who they are in order to increase their market share, increase their revenue, increase their opportunity. Steve realized, I got a gift, and my gift, in the terms of what the Bible says, will make room for me. And he believes that fundamentally because he's walked it out. Steve didn't change how he talked, he didn't change how he acted, he didn't change what he did, he didn't change where he did it. All he did was look at where new opportunities could be and go where other black comedians were not going to be able to expand what it was he was able to do. And so the same Steve Harvey that was on the King of Comedy is the same Steve Harvey that's on a daytime show on NBC. He didn't shift who he was. And so the reason why I bring that up is because every single gift that you all already have is enough. The question is, how will you work it? Where will you take it? How hard will you work to be able to make sure that other people see it? And how hard will you study and work within a space to be able to master what it is that you do? So, working with a pharmaceutical company, working with Steve, we've got a show that we're getting ready to do with BET that's just focused on men, which is something that we haven't seen in a long time. And then all of that in the midst of Baltimore popping off and police losing their minds yet again and young people going crazy. And so my last kind of remark to you all is, as you all talk about and focus on technology and how to master that versus be a slave to it, as you all look at how you begin to create a path so that what you want to do connects to not only a job, but to a career and a life, I need you all to understand how unbelievably important politics are to the world that y'all want to have. What's happening in Baltimore right now is you had for a week the entire world paying attention to Baltimore. So you had people in London, you had people in France, you had people in the Middle East, all tweeting saying we're in solidarity with the young people that's raising hell in Baltimore. They light fires, they're marching, they're protesting, there's uprising, there's media there. The police are trying to put themselves in position to be able to protect the city that in many cases they weren't protecting in the first place, and now everybody's gone. And so those same young people that were protesting and rallying and burning and mobilizing are now having difficulty finding stuff to eat, are still in the same schools that sometimes aren't properly educating them, are in communities where the police are still, in some cases, not doing their job. and now the media isn't paying any attention at all. So the question is, what good was protesting? What good was rallying? What good was burning down a CVS? What good was breaking windows? What good was getting pissed off? If when the news media leaves, everybody goes back to doing the same thing that they were doing before. And Baltimore isn't that different than DC. You got people in communities in DC that live an unbelievably wealthy lifestyle and pretend like people in certain parts of DC don't exist. And you got people that will put money and investment into the Inner Harbor, into Georgetown, into 16th Street, into other parts of the city, and ignore parts of Northeast and Northwest and Southeast and Southwest until they move in Whole Foods, and then white folks start moving in and walking their dogs in the middle of the night and people start feeling safe. And then all of a sudden, it is a place where we now feel justified making serious economic investment when people that look like you and me, who used to own homes in those communities, no longer have any power. And when you no longer control those resources, you get put in a place where you no longer control the politics. So as much as people want to say DC is Chocolate City, DC is now Marshmallow City with a chocolate crust. And we laugh, but DC and Atlanta have been one of the few places that have had consistent black political power. And that black political power is getting ready to be shifted and changed because the community is shifting and changing. And some of you all may go to college and leave DC, some of you all may stay here, but no matter where you are, you should care about power. And power in many cases is not just connected to your technology and your resources from a financial standpoint, but politics and how you use it. And so I'm not saying you gotta love politics, I'm not saying you gotta go into it. All I'm saying is pay attention to who gets elected and what they do. Because every single person that gets elected and everything that they do is going to affect where you go to school, what resources you have, how you get there, how much money you make in your job, where you have the ability to be able to go, how easy it is for you to live there, what your future looks like. And so really, I hope that we can have some questions and you all can engage me. But my hope is that some of you will look beyond what's comfortable and challenge yourselves in a real way to do what nobody else in your family has ever done. Because like I said, it doesn't matter if you like what I have to say or not. Some of you are on the cusp of graduating from this school. And the question is, what are you going to do with your life as you leave here? Some of you are in a position where you're trying to figure out how you're going to graduate. And if you're in that place, you still have the ability to determine what kind of life you want to have versus somebody telling you what kind of life you want to have. I'm tired of seeing young people that look like us being told the kind of lives they're going to have versus determining the kind of lives they're going to have. And the reality is you decide that. There are 84,600 seconds in every day. And every single person gets the same amount of time. We may live in different communities, we may have different resources, but we all got 86,400 seconds. The question is, what are you going to do with yours to be able to determine what the end of your day looks like? Questions? No questions. Yes, sir. Stand up for me, tell me your name so I can hear you.
My name is Keisha White, and I just want to know what college did you go to?
I went to the University of Toledo. I grew up in Cleveland, so I went to the University of Toledo on a full ride track scholarship. Gave up my track scholarship because my coach was leaving, and focused on campus leadership while I was there. But I went to the University of Toledo. Thank you for that question.
No problem.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry, good morning. What made you take on the career path that you take on now?
I mean, I was just a pissed off college student. I went to this school, it had about 25,000 students, and most of them were not black students. And I saw that the condition for black students in many cases was not what it should be. We weren't graduating at the level that we should be. We didn't have black studies courses there. We were one of the only schools in the state that didn't have it. There was a bus system, and the bus system would pick students up from everywhere except the black parts of town. And when you looked at who was leading the university, people didn't look like us. And so I used the Black Student Union at the University of Toledo to be able to raise hell, to be able to address issues, to be able to mobilize with people, to be able to change. And I realized that leadership was real. We didn't have no money. We didn't always know what we were doing. We didn't have a bunch of adults supporting us. But we figured out if you're mad about something, that means you have a responsibility to be involved in changing it. And so what that did for me is it showed me that we have the power to create whatever we want. And so with that, that was what made me go to the NAACP to work, and then that was what said to me, I don't want to work for anybody else. I want to be able to create entrepreneurial opportunity for myself so that on a day-to-day basis, I can do the things I love to do. So I love politics, I love entertainment, I love helping people. And so I've created a career and a business where I can do all of that, where one day I can be at the BET Hip Hop Awards, and the next day I can be at Congressional Black Caucus. One day I can be interviewing President Obama, and the next day I can be working to help T.I. with his foundation. And so what my career has been able to help me do is say, I don't have to do what somebody else tells me. If I can envision it, I can develop the plan to create it, I can connect myself to the resources, and I can work hard enough, I can create those opportunities for myself.
So do you have like any mentors?
A lot. For me, my initial mentors were my parents. I just lost my father 2 years ago. He was the biggest mentor that I had. But I've had mentors coming up. And so there was a college professor that I had. There are brothers who I worked with. There were cats, there were senior executives at BET when I got there that wanted to help me out. There were people that I've worked with. Everywhere I've gone, I've looked for mentors. Because I realize what I don't know. And even now, I realize what I don't know. So everywhere I go, I'm trying to find people. But the one thing about mentors is a lot of times the best mentors I've had are not the people with the best titles. So I've had people that have been CEOs and executives and this that I've had access to, but a lot of times it might have been the brother that was sweeping the floor, or my uncle, or Big Mama, or somebody else that may not have a whole lot of money and titles but has wisdom. And mentorship is not about titles. It's not about how much somebody has outside of the wisdom that they have to help you think through the stuff that you want to do. But thank you for the question, Jamal. Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Good, brother. What's your name?
Demond Jones. My question is, what was your biggest motivation to make you want to be successful? Or what was your biggest life-changing experience that made you want to push yourself?
Sure. How many of you all want to be better than your parents? All right. How many of you all know what it feels like not to have enough and don't want to feel like that? Yeah. How many of you all know that above everything else, you've been blessed by God with some amazing gifts and you don't want to waste them? Those are all the reasons, those are the motivating factors for me, brother, for doing what I do. I know that I was blessed. I watched myself waste enough time not doing what I was supposed to do. I saw the difference between when I went hard and when I chilled. And when I chilled, I almost never had what I needed. When I went hard, I almost always had at least enough to be where I needed to be. When I didn't risk anything, no opportunities came. When I put it all on the line, new stuff started coming over and over again. And so before I was a father, those were the motivating factors for me. Since becoming a father, I realized even more what I don't know. And so my biggest motivating factor is, how do I make sure I put my kids in a position not to make the mistakes that I made? And so you ask a question about what was the biggest kind of situation. And I just believe in being transparent. When I was at the NAACP, I was in my 20s. I was making fantastic money. I was traveling all over the world. And in this little civil rights circle, you know, I was an important person, so I thought. And you ever get to a place where you get a little bit of something and then you lose your mind and think you something you're not? That's what I did. I got a little bit of something, thought I was something that I wasn't, lost my mind. I was married at the time, was cheating on my wife like crazy while I was supposed to be providing inspiration to people, wasn't being the kind of father that I needed to be, traveling all over the country, working with other young people and not spending the kind of time with my own family that I needed. And I lost it. I went through a divorce, I was separated from my kids, and I realized that no matter how good your work is, if your character doesn't match your work, then it don't mean nothing. Right? And so that for me, having to look in my mirror, having to look in the mirror and be like, damn, I'm traveling all over the world. When I show up, people are clapping for me. When people think I'm doing this great work, I'm on TV doing this. Well, I wasn't on TV yet, but I'm over here doing this, I'm over here doing this. And it's a lie if your life don't line up with that. And so that was the biggest, most difficult, most insane thing that I ever had to deal with, was looking myself in the mirror and being like, Jeff, if you don't fix this, you're a fraud. And it doesn't matter who finds out about it, I know. And so going through that process and figuring out how do I become the man that God called me to be versus just operating in my gift. Because y'all know, how many of y'all know people, if you look at their social media, they lying. Like, Negroes be going places just to Instagram to say that they was there. They're Instagram from the outside to pretend like they got in. And so people were doing that before social media. But what social media has allowed us to do is create personas that aren't real. And so what we have to do if we're ever going to be our best selves is understand that who we are when nobody is looking is a whole lot more important than how many followers we have on any social media. So thank you, brother, for that question. This is my dream job. I'm not even sure what my dream job is. I'm trying to figure that out every day. So every day new opportunities come up. So when I was in Toledo, just working with 5 young people, enjoying working with young people, I enjoy doing it. But if you would have told me when I was working with 5 to 7 young people that I would write a book and Kanye West would write the foreword for my book, I would have said you were lying. So I say that to say that there are no limits on what we can have. And so while I try to create strategy to figure out what I can do that's bigger, what I'm more excited about what God has for me that I don't see yet, right? Because I can dream something huge. But if I were to really answer your question, the biggest dream job for me is preparing myself to be ready for what God is setting up for me that I can't see yet.
Hello? Oh, you want to use the mic?
My name is Marciano, and I wanted to ask, like, when you graduated from high school, where did you expect yourself to be? And, like, did you ever expect to see yourself be on that?
No. For those of you who didn't hear me ask, where did I expect to be when I was sitting where you all were sitting? When I was sitting where y'all were sitting, I was just glad I was graduating. I was lazy. I was smart and lazy. And I was an athlete. So I was able to get over in spaces that I shouldn't have been able to get over. And I think it was coming out of high school and realizing how I had dodged a bullet that I knew I really needed to work harder. How many of you all stuff just comes to you easy sometimes, so you just don't work as hard as you know you need to? And sometimes it's wonderful to be blessed, but it's dangerous because it comes with responsibility. Because you can make it and be all right, or you can be amazing. And sometimes we accept all right. And so when I was where you were, there was stuff I wanted. So if you would have asked me, if I looked at my little senior book, I would have said I wanted to be a senator, because I love politics even when I was young. So I would have said I wanted to be a senator. If you would have asked me then, though, what does it take for you to be able to become that, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. And that's why when I talk to y'all, it's like, look, it's one thing to say I want to be a doctor or a lawyer or an MC or a basketball player or whatever. But when you really think about what does it actually take for me to go to where I am right now, to where I say I want to be, am I really prepared to do all of that? And when I graduated from college, I don't think anybody had ever walked me through the process of helping me really be prepared to say, all right, Jeff, here's what I want to do. And even if it changed, right? Am I prepared to make that happen? And that's something that y'all really have to deal with yourselves on. Because how many of you all know that at the end of the day, while people will be there to help you, nobody can make happen for you what you don't make happen for yourself. It just don't happen. Ain't nobody gonna give you the life you want. You have to make it happen. And no matter where it is, you have to make it happen. And so your grind has to be real, but your grind has to translate into creating something that's bigger than a hustle. I get so tired of black people acting like the hustle is good. Right? The hustle is only supposed to be temporary. So the hustle is only supposed to take you to a place where you actually establish something. If you're 45 years old and you're still on the hustle, something is wrong. Because your hustle should have got you to a point where you created something stable enough that you ain't got to hustle no more. Now you just build. Because people who build ain't hustling. They build. People who hustle can't build because they're moving too much to be able to build. Y'all understand the difference? And we got to get to a point where we stop using language because it's just part of kind of this hip-hop culture that we use. But it's disconnected from the reality of what it says about who we are. So when you're on the grind, how many of you know what the grind is? A grind is when two things rub together so hard and so much that it wears down those two things from what it was they were originally supposed to be. So if you keep grinding, then you get to a point where everything that you're doing is rubbing away all of the stuff that you had. So the grind isn't supposed to be perpetual. It ain't supposed to last forever. Your grind is supposed to get you to a place where you work hard enough to be able to have something that now I'm building. Now I'm sustaining. I ain't just surviving. I ain't just making it. I'm winning. I'm thriving. I'm building. I'm creating. I'm not just working. I'm hiring people. Right? So if we as a people would get beyond survival mode and get to building mode, then we would be in a place where all this stuff that we're talking about wouldn't just be talk. You got a whole bunch of MCs that talk millionaire talk and got $100 game. Right? Because it's easier to talk about it than it is to actually build it. Anybody else?
My name is DJ May, and I want to know how many times did you fail before you became successful?
How many times did I fail before? I failed last week. I mean, seriously, if you are not doing something that challenges you enough for you to fail, then you're not doing anything worth doing. And so I constantly try to put myself in a space where I'm doing something that I don't know if I can make it happen. And that leads to a place sometimes where I fail. Sometimes I do well. Sometimes I get to where I wanted to. Sometimes I only get halfway. But failure is part of success. So there's nobody who has been successful that has not failed. No way. Anybody that tells you they never failed hadn't done anything worth trying. And anything they tell you they have isn't what they really want, because you cannot get to where it is that you want to be without failing at something. And then the challenge with that is people will stop and they will only achieve that which is easy. so that they never have to worry about failure. That's not success. That's just making. You feel me?
Hi, my name is Toyota, and I wanted to ask you, what was your take on the Baltimore uprising, and what are you doing now, or do you have any plans to help those in Baltimore and build the community back up?
I mean, I live in Baltimore. I love Baltimore. My take is that it was something that was waiting to happen. You can't ignore people that long. You can't leave people in that kind of poverty. And you can't have a police department that abuses people. And you can't have politicians that talk a good game but don't deliver on anything. And then you can't have millions upon millions upon millions of dollars coming into the city and never go to certain neighborhoods and think that people ain't gonna wild out. And what you saw was people in a place where they were tired of being neglected. And it's gonna continue to happen. It's gonna continue to happen because too often police don't view people of color and poor people as human. And as a result of that, poor people and people of color are going to start fighting back. And we're going to see it over and over and over again. So you asked, what am I doing? Right now, there are a couple of projects that I'm working on. We're going to launch a Baltimore Economic Empowerment Institute for this summer. We're going to bring in 500 young people to train them in job readiness, technology, and entrepreneurship. And then each of them will have to learn financial literacy, wealth creation, future planning, and political power. So that's a small step to be able to make sure that the young people that are in that community where the uprising happened are able to get some real skills instead of us just talking to them about what they can do but not actually investing in them. Right? Because talking is tired at this point. So that's number one. Number two is the development of a Baltimore fund. So we're working with Harbor Bank, which is a black-owned bank in Baltimore, to be able to create an investment fund that incubates small businesses and provides small dollars to people that want to build small business, and then find a way to take the 15,000 vacant homes, get access to some of those vacants, and do large-scale investment strategies. So we're trying to work on the bottom here so that we're actually touching the people, and then we're trying to deal 50,000 feet high here, so we're doing large-scale development. My man right here.
Do you think that the Baltimore basically started with down?
I can't hear you.
I said, do you feel that basically the Baltimore uprising is like a domino effect of other countries and are starting to riot because of poverty?
Well, number one, there was no riot in Baltimore. And for people that have seen riots, burning down 2 stores is not a riot. And breaking some windows is not a riot. It's uprising, it's violence, there was looting. But it's not a riot. And we got to be careful about some of the language that we use and what we repeat that we hear in the media. But to your question, Baltimore is part of really a train that's moving around the country. And again, anytime you have poor people, anytime you have abused people, anytime you have neglected people, and then you have oppressed people dealing with this kind of violence from the police, neglect from politicians, and disconnect from economic opportunity and education, you're going to have frustrations rise. And it's going to be a long summer. Because normally what happens in the summer is we see all of the upheaval from us killing each other. You're going to begin to see this summer more and more people videotaping police that are operating outside of what it is that they're supposed to do. And hopefully what you see is us beginning to uprise as much for when we kill each other as when we get killed by the police. Because I want to go hard on the police. And I want to make sure we hold them accountable. But I can't go hard on the police and then go weak on us. So I grew up in Cleveland. And some of y'all heard about Tamir Rice, right? The 12-year-old boy that got shot, which was just insane. The same week that Tamir Rice got shot, it was a quadruple homicide. This guy rolls up to a house, knocks on the door opens, he shoots a 9-year-old little girl, goes past her, shoots 2 people in the house, comes out the house, somebody pulled up in the car, he shoots a pregnant woman in the car, and then rolls out. Didn't nobody march about that. Didn't nobody talk about that. Didn't nobody try to turn him in. Didn't nobody help look for him. Nothing. So they wanted to raise hell and march and be activists around Tamir Rice and then do nothing around 5 people getting shot and 2 babies getting shot at in the community. And so until we are serious about making sure that life matters no matter who takes it, we're going to be hypocrites. And so what I hope is that there's a domino effect of us beginning to raise our own humanity so that we can challenge other people to treat us humanely.
How you doing?
Good.
How many more?
Good. Stand up for me so I can see.
I don't want to stand up. My leg
So
hurt.
seriously, you don't give up the mic, you don't want to stand
My
up?
leg hurt.
Your leg hurt? Please give her the mic back. I need your question. It's important.
Sorry.
And it's important for me to receive. So for me, here it is. Thank you so much.
Has there ever been anybody that put you down and said you couldn't do it? Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
All day, every day. And I love that they're my Instagram followers so they can see me shine. And so, how many of y'all know you got haters just for no reason? Just for no reason at all. Like, I ain't even done nothing to you. Like, I actually been nice to you and you still hating on me. Here's the thing, sis. If you don't have haters, you ain't doing something right. Because at the end of the day, when you are going hard at being you, somebody is going to be angry that they're not going hard at being them. And do y'all know what the real definition of a hater is? A hater is somebody that hates you but really wants to be you. And instead of being willing to do what you're willing to do to be who you are, they would rather drag you down to be where they are. And so haters really just secretly admire you. And as opposed to even giving them any energy of getting mad, just keep letting them see you be excellent. And the more excellent you are, the less haters have any power over you. So I love my haters all day long. I send them flowers. I pray for them. I send them gifts. I say, thank you so much for hating on me. Because you just, I send them special Instagram messages and Vine videos just to my haters, just to keep hating on me. Because it gives me the fuel to be reminded that everybody ain't going to be your friend. And everybody's not going to like you. And everybody's not going to be there for you. And that is life. And as you can navigate that, you've got the ability to face anything head on and be able to overcome it. But see, thank you, sis. I appreciate you standing up and asking me that question. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
What was your most challenging time?
I think I answered that question.
You did.
But there are always challenging times, brother. There are always challenging times. And so, most recently, one of the most challenging times I had was watching my father deal with cancer. And my dad had 4th-stage cancer for 7 years. And for the last 2 years of his life, he lived with my wife. And the challenge was watching him go through so much pain and pretending to the world that he wasn't going through anything. And so I really learned more about life watching my father fight death than I have anything else. And being able to be there for him in the end was not only one of the greatest challenges, but one of the greatest blessings that I've ever had. You got a question?
I got the mic.
Yes, sir.
Seeing that a lot of people, when they get fame and money, they usually don't give back to their community and come out and speak to a group of kids like you are doing today. So what made you come today and talk to a group of kids, a group of you?
I mean, one, and you're right, and I think that a lot of times it's challenging because it's challenging, one, to find the time, it's two, challenging to find the resources, and I just believe in you all. Here's the thing. I was you, number one. Number two, I got 3 of y'all living in my house. And so when I think about who is hopefully the black man that will marry my daughter, and hopefully who is the black woman that would marry my sons, and I ain't mad at interracial dating or interracial relationships. If you love somebody, love them. I just love black people. I love being black, and I love having a black family. And my prayer is that my sons and daughters will meet somebody who understands who they are culturally as much as they understand who they are intellectually and spiritually. And so I do this, brother, because one of you all might be the dude that my daughter wants to date. One of you might be the girl that my sons fall in love with. And my concern is that we are not preparing our young people with honesty. Because y'all will have people come in here and give you a speech and tell y'all all y'all gonna make it. All y'all ain't gonna make it. And all y'all ain't gonna make it not because you can't, because some of you will choose not to. Because all of you are gifted, all of you are talented, all of you are blessed, but some of you just lazy. And some of you will look your gift in the face and say, nah, I'd rather chill. And some of you will look blessings in the face and say, nah, I'd rather just get smoked out. And some of you will look opportunity in the face and say, nah, I'd rather just play another video game. And some of you will look at a college in the face and say, nah, you know what, I'm just going to stay on the block. And some of you will look a business opportunity in the face and say, nah, I ain't even trying to mess with them white people like that. And some of you will realize that your future is right here before you, but you'll choose to take the easier route. And so my goal, Jamal, is just to be honest with you all, and hopefully if one thing I say can provide you with some insight that you didn't have before, or one thing I can say can make you think about something in a way that you didn't think about before, then hopefully one of your parents or one of your teachers will feed that, because all of us are in this together. Young people are the sum total of the adults that invest in them. And my job is to just try to be one of the adults that invest in the next generation, so that when I get older, I'm not complaining about who you all didn't become, but I'm investing in who you can potentially become. Can we get my sis right here?
2 more questions. My name is G. And my question is, was your dad your role model, and did he push you to strive? Because I lost my father as well. Like, was he your role model? Like, was that like your main role model?
My father was my hero. My father was my hero, even in his imperfection. I watched my father be foul. I watched my father make mistakes. I watched my father fall. But there was never a man that was more a part of me becoming who I am than he was. And so even in his imperfection, and even in his failures, and even in his shortcomings, he was my hero and ultimately my friend. My dad was my man when he died. That was my dude. That was who I loved. There are times now I'll be going through an airport and I wish I could pick up the phone and call him, because something is happening in my life, and he would be the person that I would want to talk to about. So even in death, there's an African proverb that says the ancestors are only gone when they're forgotten. And what many of us need to do is we need to remember those that have gone before us, because who they are, even in the mistakes that they made, allowed us to be where we are. And so it's just such an important thing. But thank you for the question, sis. I appreciate it. And one more question?
Yes, my name is Toyota again. But I wanted to ask you, with your connections to, people like Steve Harvey and other people that you work with, have you ever thought about like having a program to have the resources that you do have to come to different communities and talk to young black people, to empower them to do stuff like you? Because like you said, everybody's not going to make it. So would you use those connections to make a program to help?
Do it now. We do it now. And so there's no one program that's going to save everybody, and there's no one program that can get to everybody. So my wife has an aunt, and that aunt is connected with Friendship, and she said, Jeff, I need you to come and speak to kids at Friendship, and I'm like, Friendship don't have enough money to pay me my fee to come and speak. I'm being honest. I don't. It's real talks. Real talk is I get paid, and it's part of my job. And so no, I mean, it was like, look, I know they don't have enough money to pay me to come, but I will come anyway. And so that's one thing. But then there's another program that I work with United Negro College Fund that goes around and prepares young people for colleges. There's another program that I might work with that does the same thing. There are local programs that are here in DC that are trying to do the same thing. And so sometimes it's about how do we make sure local people are getting to play. Because a lot of times we look for artists and entertainers and athletes to come in, but local people are there on the ground putting in work day in and day out who need to be supported and get resources. So part of what I do is how do we help raise money for local folks to be able to build capacity for them to do the work that they need to do. Then simultaneously, how do we help schools like the Friendship Network or Eagle Academy in New York or Urban Prep in Chicago and schools like that? How are we supporting independent schools and charter schools that have effective models to, one, become more effective, because some of them aren't at the capacity that they should be, to be able to make sure that educational opportunity is real for more kids. So that there's battles on every front. And folks like myself are working to try to do that. On the flip side, there are groups, something I think is really important. How many of you all have ever heard of a bank called Credit Suisse? Okay. And most of us would not hear of it because Credit Suisse is really just for the ultra rich. If you don't have $5 million, you can't open an account at Credit Suisse. And so Shaq, last month, Shaq partnered with Credit Suisse to invite 40 black men to his house to talk about wealth creation. And these were guys that were huge real estate investors, fund managers, Silicon Valley folks, folks that are in venture capitalism, folks that are in media, folks that are in entertainment, and all black men who came together to try to answer the question that you just asked. What are ways that these black men can use their resources, their finances, their influences, their relationships to be able to target local projects to be able to support? So it is happening, even if we don't hear about it. And there are people that are doing real work, whether they're celebrities or not, to really try to make a difference. But we need everybody to play their role. So whether you're famous or not, y'all got more capacity to affect young people here than any celebrity that can come in and speak. Because a celebrity can come in and speak, hype you up, and they bounce. Y'all are here every day to provide leadership and example to your peers. And whether they follow it or not, your example is there. And so your power is greater than anybody that has 1 billion followers on Instagram. The question is, are you willing to use it? So thank you for that question, you all. Thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much. And congratulations to you all seniors who are graduating. Make sure you do something with that and go to the next level. God bless you.
Again, let's give Mr. Johnson a hand. As I mentioned before, this is our last series for the school year. And again, we want to congratulate all the seniors. And those juniors, you will be back here next year. We'll start again in January and February with our 16-17 speaker series. Thank you so much for your participation. And we have been blessed with the appearance of our founder and chairman, Mr. Donald Hintz. Give you a hand. He will come and say a few words to close it out.
Good morning. When we talked about trying to bring influential people to talk with you about their lives and how they have made it, we really were targeting people who had doubts within themselves and needed to see that the road to success is one that anyone can take. Those of you who are here, you have a fairly clear path if you actually take it to and through college. It doesn't matter if you're on the football team, or you're in the engineering academy, or you're in the health sciences academy. The clearest thing in the world is that you can make it. It's very clear. Did any of you see Eddie Golden when he came by campus a couple weeks ago? We never thought we would have one, did we? Now we got our own student in the NFL. Last week, our very first Friendship graduate completed her law. We had another Friendship graduate who has a full scholarship to complete her PhD at University of Pennsylvania. You can make it if you work hard and believe in yourself. There are no gifts. I think that that's the critical thing. Even if you clown, there are none. Thank you. Hope you appreciated the talks.